Hi, good afternoon and welcome to Lugnut's Garage. Today we're going to be going over a two-hole fluid change on this Sportster 1200. Now the reason I say two-hole fluid change, unlike other Harleys that you find, the electric glides, the street glides, the soft tails, those all get three-hole changes. On this particular model, this Sportster 1200, the primary and the transmission are together in the same hole. So essentially you're only filling two holes. You have your oil and your primary and transmission fluid together. So we're going to go through this today. I'm going to show you step by step everything that you need to do, and we'll get through this together. Now we have already run our motorcycle. Before you do an oil change, you want to run your motorcycle for about 10 minutes. Let that engine warm up. I don't know if you can hear it in the video or not, but the heat, you can hear the engine creaking with the heat. So we've already done that part. So I'm going to go through and show you. We have our filters set aside. I like to use K&N filters. They're just really good filters. Everybody knows K&N if you have anything to do with vehicles. Really good brand. The oil that I like to use with my Harleys is Lucas High Performance Motorcycle Oil. This does require SAE 20W50. What you need to look for too is to make sure that it is JSOMA2 API compatible for wet clutches. If it's not compatible for wet clutches, obviously you don't want to use that in here because this is a wet clutch system. So I have everything laid out. The other tools we're going to need is a flat tip screwdriver, a ratchet wrench, and a 5/8 socket. And or you can also use a 1/4 inch Allen wrench, and I'll show you where those get used here in a little while. I do have a couple of rags set out along with an oil filter wrench and 5/32 T-handle Allen wrench for when we go to do the primary. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're on the right-hand side of the motorcycle, is we're going to go right here to our oil fill cap. All right, on this particular one, you push down, it clicks up, and you got to kind of work it sometimes. Sometimes it get a little tight. This one is actually pretty loose, pretty good, but you turn to the left, pull it out, and it's also your dipstick. Okay, now looking at this, again, we just ran it, so I'll wipe it and everything. I'll show you the proper way to do that. But if you look at this, it's very black. I don't know if I can get the camera to focus here. Very black and very low, all right? So, again, you want to check the oil just to see where you're at, how it looks before we get started. We're also going to leave the oil cap open, okay? I'm not going to pull that all the way out just in case something falls. You don't want to get stuff down in the oil tank, but I am going to open it up for ventilation once it's not vapor locking. And it'll let the oil run out more freely. All right, so we're back over here on the left side of the motorcycle. Now I'm going to show you where you can find the oil drain. I already have our oil pan laid out underneath. And if you look down underneath here, I get a flashlight to help you guys look. On this particular model, there is a hose, and you can see the little piece hanging down right there. It's just a hose with a plastic cap in it, okay? And there is a hose clamp. There it is. There is a hose clamp on it. You loosen the hose clamp, pull that cap out, and it will drain the oil into your oil pan. Now, again, we left the oil cap off on the other side, or open rather, on the other side, so that when we pull that cap out, it will drain the oil faster. All right, so I have gone on and set the camera back so you guys can see. I'm going to try to get the kickstand out of the way a little bit. So again, if you look right here, this is where that plastic cap is. It doesn't pull down very far. It is attached to the engine in there. But that's where that plastic plug is in the oil drain hose on this particular motorcycle. So we're going to get our flat tip screwdriver, and we're going to get in there and undo the hose clamp. And you don't have to take it all the way out to where the hose clamp comes open, because then they are kind of a pain to get back on. You just want to loosen it up so you can pull that oil drain plug out. Now you can see the oil starting to drain. We're going to set our plug over here off to the side and let that oil drain. All right, so while we're waiting on our oil to drain, we're going to go ahead and move up here to the oil filter. So we want to take our oil filter wrench. This is a Harley Davidson one with a cutout. A lot of our other models, you know, the electric glides, street glides and such, they do have a sensor right here that you need that cutout for to get the oil filter wrench onto the oil filter. This particular bike does not have that sensor, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go ahead and connect our oil filter wrench to our ratchet. Loosen that up to where we can get it by hand. All right. I do like to take me a rag and tuck up in here so that we don't make such a huge mess. The rag will catch a lot of oil. So we're going to go ahead and spin this filter off, keeping one hand on the end of it so that it doesn't just fall off. Once it's loose, you'll feel it. Go ahead, pull it off, tilt it up so you don't drain all your oil. Then you can put it in your drain pan upside down, let it drain into your drain pan. Leave our rag here to catch any oil that drains out from our oil pump, oil filter connection. All right. So again, I like to use these K&N filters. One thing that I do like about these, and I forgot to tell you at the beginning of the video, is they do have a piece on the end that's like a bolt or a nut. You know, you can put a wrench or a socket on it. A lot of these are 17 millimeters, so I do have us a 17 millimeter socket. So one thing you always want to do with an oil filter is you never want to put them on dry. Get you a little bit of oil. It doesn't have to be fresh oil. All right. A lot of instructions you'll see out there tells you always use clean oil. You're not using a lot of it. So I just like to use whatever oil I spill. Go ahead and rub it on the gasket for the oil filter. You want to make sure that the gasket for the old oil filter is not still on the rim where you unscrewed it from. We're going to clean this off, make sure we're nice and clean there. Go ahead and screw the new filter on by hand. Make sure it's lined up straight. You don't cross thread it. All right, we're going to get this filter hand tight. Now we're going to take our ratchet, again with our 17 millimeter socket. Make sure we're on tighten. And we're going to tighten this filter. Oh, that's the 5/8. This is our 17 millimeter. We're going to go ahead and tighten this filter down to where it's snug. All right. Oil filters don't have to be super tight. Some of them have an actual torque value like 14 foot-pounds, you know, etc. Some of them I've literally seen instructions that says, you know, quarter or half turn past hand tight. Once you start tightening it and it kind of stops, that's tight enough. It has the gasket in there. Oil filters don't need to be that tight. If you get them too tight, the next time you go to change your oil, they're a pain to get off. I've actually had oil filters that I have not been able to get off based on their location with pliers or an oil filter wrench. I've had to drive a screwdriver through the oil filter, which makes a huge mess, first of all, because it's full of oil, and use that as like a T-handle to get that broken loose so that I can get it off there. So don't get them that tight. All right, so now we remove our rag that we soaked up our fallen oil with. We're going to go ahead and clean up around here a little bit, and we'll wash this up before we give it back to the customer. I don't like to give dirty vehicles back. So once we're done, we'll take this outside, take it for clean up, and then we'll take it on our test ride before we let them know it's ready for pickup. So now we've got our oil filter done. Let's go ahead and check on our oil and see if it is done draining. All right, so if you look down in there, I don't see any more oil really dripping. There's a few drips down there, but I don't really see any more oil draining from our tube down there. So we're going to go ahead and put our plastic plug back in. So if you remember, we just set our plastic plug right here. Now, this is just a plastic plug. You know, you can see right there. A lot of your older, or I'm sorry, your newer engines, bigger engines, Harleys, like my Softail, for example, they actually have magnetic drain plugs. When you pull them out, it has a magnet on the end, collects any metal that's in there. So you can look at that. These don't really have that. It's just a drain plug for the tube. So we're going to go ahead and get a hold of our tube here and push that over a little bit. We'll go ahead and get a hold of our tube here. Push our plug back into it. All right, once we have our drain plug back in, then we'll get our flat tip screwdriver again, tighten that hose clamp. Don't forget that part because it will leak around there. Possibly push that drain plug out while you're riding. You'll lose all your engine oil and seize your engine up. So now we're good to go there. The oil system is empty. We've replaced our filter. We're ready to put new oil in. All right, so we have drained the oil. We've replaced the filter. We're back over here on the right-hand side of the motorcycle. If you remember, I originally had you pull out your oil cap, oil fill cap, and just leave it resting there. So now we're going to go ahead and wipe that off so we don't drain oil everywhere. Get it out of the way for a little bit. And we're going to put oil in. Now this model, this engine holds approximately 3 quarts of oil. So we've got our little funnel here. I don't like to make a mess, so I always use a funnel. We're going to dump in 2.5 quarts. Okay, again, this engine holds approximately 3 quarts of oil, but you never want to overfill. All right, now if we replace the filter, so if we dump in 3 quarts, our oil tank's going to have 3 quarts in it, and we may be a little over full. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dump in 2.5 quarts. We're going to start the motor, let it run for just a few minutes. It doesn't have to get super warm, but we're going to let it run for a few minutes and cycle that oil in so that it gets into the oil filter, because that's going to lower the level in the tank, and then we'll be able to top it off and make sure that we're completely full. Now again, I've only added 2.5 quarts for now, so that I can start the engine, let it get into the filter, fill the oil filter up so that we can fill the tank and be exactly where we need to be on oil. So we're going to go ahead and start the bike. Oh wait, first we need to put our oil fill cap back in. That's rolled all the way down into the oil. Let's clean that up. Good job there on that one, lug nut. Now y'all can see why my name is Lug Nut. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put our oil filler cap back in. Now this does only go in one way. There's grooves on the bottom. One is bigger than the other. So it does only go in one way. So once you get it in there, twist it into place. Alright. We're going to go ahead and start the bike and let it run for just a minute. Now that we've let our vehicle run, we're going to open our oil filler cap back up. Alright, get our rag, and what you're going to do is wipe off, because the engine was just running, so oil's sloshing around. You're going to wipe off the oil dipstick, and you're going to put it right back in. Okay. Pull it back out and see where our oil level is now that we've filled our oil filter. Alright, and here's our gauge. And we're almost halfway, all right? So we're gonna let that go for a minute. Once we finish up all the other fluids, again, we'll take it out, we'll test ride it. Once we get done with our test ride, we'll really check out our oil levels and everything to see if we need to add any we'll really test it out once we actually ride it and get everything moving. If you like what you see here, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me know what I can create for you guys. If you have any special requests or recommendations, please by all means shoot me a message. Let me know. Let me know in the comments if you want to see something. And obviously, I'll do things on other bikes that I have in here. I get everything from Sportsters to sport bikes. I've just got rid of a four-wheeler today. Not got rid of, gave it back to the customer. So I have all manner of vehicles in here. So we'll go through a couple of things as I start making more of these videos for you guys. But again, if you like what you see, please hit that like and subscribe. Let me know if you want to see anything special. Now that we've finished our oil, we've got it filled back up. Our drain plug was in. Our oil filter was changed. Again, at the beginning of this video, I talked about us doing a two-hole fluid change. So now we're going to change our primary transmission fluid. All right. So for this, we're going to need our 5/32 Allen wrench. I have a T-handle here, makes it super easy. We're also going to need our ratchet wrench with a 5/8 socket and or our 1/4 inch Allen wrench. You can use either one for the drain plug. It is down here at the bottom. To use our Allen wrench, we're going to have to move the drain plug a little bit, but that does fit up in there. It also fits a 5/8 wrench, all right, or socket, whatever you've got. As long as it's a 5/8, it works. So we're going to start, all right, right here is a cover. It's got 2 bolts on it. We need our 5/32 Allen wrench. We're going to start by taking that out. Just like on our oil procedure, if we take this fill cover off, it's going to help our fluid drain a little faster, and our engine is still warm, so our fluid's going to drain decently anyways. So we're going to go ahead and break these loose. Now these screws do have O-rings on them, so when you take them off, you want to check them out. Make sure the O-rings aren't damaged. Make sure they're present so it doesn't leak. If they are damaged, go ahead and replace them. These ones actually both look pretty good, so we're not going to worry about replacing them at this point. Once you get this cap off, all right, the cap comes right off. This is just a cover. The same thing, there's a gasket in here. Take that out, inspect it, make sure it doesn't have any holes in it other than what's supposed to be there. Make sure it's not torn. This one looks really good as well, so I don't think we need to worry about replacing it today either. All right, so now we have our fill port open. So right down here at the bottom, I don't know if y'all can see that, but right down here is our drain plug. Again, that fits either a 5/8 or a 1/4 inch Allen wrench. Let me set this back down so it doesn't fall. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move our oil pan up under. Let's get our... Yeah, that's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and move our oil pan up under our drain port. Get our 5/8 socket. And go ahead and break that loose. At this point, you should be able to get it with just your fingers. Let's go ahead and back that drain port out. Let that fluid drain out into your oil pan. It is getting on our kickstand a little bit. We'll wipe that off when we're done. Now this is one of the... Let me clean this up just a little bit so you can actually see what I'm talking about. This is one of the drain plugs I was talking about at the beginning of the video. That has the magnet on the end. This has quite a bit of sludge on it. All right. So we're going to do a fluid change on this, ride this around a little bit, check this again, and see how much fluid, or I mean, how much sludge we're actually creating. But I don't know when the last time the fluid on this was actually changed. This is a customer's bike. He just purchased it. So neither of us really know. And some of that, by looking at this rag, some of that actually looks like NICs. But some of it is sludge. Not a lot of big metallic particles in there. So yeah, we're looking okay. But we're going to go ahead and clean this up all the way. so that when we do the next fluid change on this, we'll be able to tell how much we're actually creating, how much junk we're actually creating, whether it be metal or clutch material, you know, what have you. But that's what these drain plugs are for. Now that it's cleaned off, you can see it a little better. It has a little magnet on the end. So now that I've shown you guys what the magnetic drain plug is, where it's at, what it does, we're going to go ahead and clean up here. We still got a little bit of fluid draining, but that's okay, because it's just, this oil, again, this oil is very thick. So we're going to go ahead and put our drain plug back in. Make sure you get it in straight. Don't cross thread it, because then we'll be having to replace a whole bunch of parts later, and it's going to cost a whole lot of money to do that. All right, so we're going to take our 5/8 wrench. We're going to tighten this up just a little bit. All right, and then we're going to go to our service manual, find out what torque it's actually supposed to be at. We're going to get our torque wrench, torque that down before we add fluid. All right, so per our service manual, the torque for that is 14 to 21 foot-pounds. All right, it's quite a broad spectrum there. So I like to split that halfway. We're going to go to 17 foot-pounds. All right, so there's 15, 16, 17 foot-pounds. Go ahead and lock down our torque wrench. We're going to get our 5/8 socket. Tighten this up till you hear the click. There it is. All right, and we know we're at 17 foot-pounds. All right, go ahead and clean up the fluid on the bottom. Now you want to make sure you follow these torque specs, or at least get close to them. You don't want to over tighten these. You definitely don't want to under tighten them. If you under tighten them, obviously you have fluid leakage, fluid leakage, excuse me. The bolt can fall out, you lose all your fluid, seize everything up, not a good day. If you over tighten them, you can actually strip out the hole, then you can't get the bolt tight at all, so you still lead into leakage and all that stuff. So make sure you're following the recommendations by your service manual. We've got that torque down. We're going to go ahead and grab us a funnel so we can put 1 quart of our oil back in our primary transmission. All right, so we've got our funnel. This one's a little odd, but we're going to go ahead and use it. I'm using the same oil that we used in the engine, the Lucas motorcycle oil, SA20W50. It is JASO MA2 and API compatible for wet clutches. They do make specific primary transmission fluid for these applications, but using the same 20W50 oil that you used in the engine is okay as well. So we're going to go ahead and use that just because I like to use the same fluid for everything. Personal preference. And Lucas Oil makes great products. I've never had an issue out of them. I've even had people come to me that says, hey, can we do anything about making my bike shift quieter? And between Lucas Oil and AMSOIL, even some of the Harley products out there, it'll quiet that clutch up, especially even just replacing the fluid in the first place will make it shift a little quieter, run a little better. You know, once these fluids are in here for a while, and you should be following your recommendations on the maintenance manual or the service manual anyways. You know, every however many thousand miles or however many months, if you aren't riding, you should be replacing these fluids anyways, just to keep the engine healthy, keep everything operating as it should. So we're going to go ahead and add our quart in there. We're going to get us a rag so when we pull this out, we don't, yep, see, there we go. We don't drip everywhere. Okay, go ahead and set that in our drip pan because I don't care if it drips in there. Clean that oil up there. All right, now we're going to take our gasket for a cover that we had. Let's go ahead and wipe this off a little bit just to clean it up before we put it back on there. All right, place our gasket in there. Now we're going to grab our cover, put our cover back in, and it should kind of sit there by itself if you put it in gently. All right, now we're going to take our screws. Again, make sure your O-rings are there. Go ahead and put one of them in, but don't tighten it all the way up. And this is a big tip I have for whatever you're doing, not just this project, but whatever you're doing. If it has multiple screws, don't ever put the first one in and tighten it all the way down, because then you might not get them all lined up. So now we're going to go ahead and put our second screw in, and now we can tighten them all the way up. All right, and these screws really need to be replaced. I'm going to have to let the customer know, especially this one here on the left. As I went to tighten that, the Allen wrench actually slipped. And again, follow the torque recommendations on these as well from your service manual. Clean everything up when you're done. If you leave petroleum products on chrome and they get hot, it will actually ruin the chrome over time, discolor it. So I always like to clean it up before I really run the engine and get it hot. You know, we started the engine earlier, and I'll let the oil flow into the filter, fill it up. But I do definitely like to clean everything up before I run the engine, get it hot, just so I don't discolor the chrome. My personal preference, I like the look of chrome on motorcycles. So we're done with our 2-hole fluid change on this motorcycle. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this was very informational for you. Again, let me know if you want to see anything specific. If you have any questions, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see y'all later.